Hello, and welcome to Mona's Rants. This is Mona Sheikh. Let me tell you something, guys. Today is a bit of a difficult day. I think throughout the pandemic, I have been I feel holding up pretty well. Today is a special day because my depression is a little out of control today, and I am trying to do everything to keep my sanity. And this is one of the ways I keep my sanity is applying makeup on my face so I can feel good about myself. Is that a strange thing to say? I don't know. I think everybody's, I put on like this heavy duty makeup. I had all this makeup sitting down and I was like, you know what? I'm just really having a hard time getting out of bed today. I had a really hard time staying up today. But I am still doing the 30-day challenge. So tomorrow is going to mark the completion of 3 weeks of me doing the 30-day challenge. And guys, it's been a little challenging. I'm definitely not going to lie about that, but, here we are, and I am trying to do the best I can. I wanted to talk today about, I didn't want to pick a topic. I just didn't want to pick a topic. I wanted to talk about what I'm going through because I think a lot of people are experiencing this pandemic depression, which, quite frankly, I think as a modern age people, we haven't experienced, a pandemic before. And here we are all like, I feel like the entire universe, the entire world got checked. I won't say the universe, the entire world, our planet got checked real hard by Mother Nature, God, whatever you believe in. And regardless of age, race, religion, gender, sexual preference, it doesn't matter. Everybody is in this limbo and everybody's in this state of depression and this level of uncertainty. I feel like none of us, I think, it doesn't even matter if you're a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. It doesn't matter. I think everybody's in this like state of high uncertainty where nobody knows like what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to have a vaccine for COVID by the end of this year. I really don't. Dr. Fauci came out and said that, he's like pessimistically optimistic that there might be a vaccine by the end of this year. I don't freaking know. Hi, James. Thank you, James. I'm like legit feeling like garbage today. And I think I want to talk about because I honestly don't want to make it like a moping session. I don't want to be like Miss Debbie Downer over here. I don't. I want to talk about things that I think are relevant and the fact that we are all going through this. I feel like if the pandemic wasn't bad enough to give us the middle finger to the world, basically, then 2020 is just trying to top it all with like further killing of innocent Black people. Of course, there's no vaccine in sight thus far for COVID. And my fupa just keeps getting bigger every single day. Do you know what fupa is, James? Anybody know what fupa is? Fat upper pussy area. That's right. Gentlemen have it too. And it's just this lard of fat that sits right above the crotch area. For ladies, it's called the fupa. And my fupa just keeps getting bigger every single day. No, James is like, no, I do not know what the fupa is. And that's what the fupa is. Well, next time a lady says, my fupa, it's the fat upper pussy area, you guys. That's what the fupa is. And my fupa, my pandemic fupa, as I like to call it, is not to be messed with, okay? Honestly, today, my depression is definitely a little crazy today. I even went to had Pinkberry. Do you know Pinkberry, the frozen yogurt place? I love that place. I make it like a rare thing to go in there and treat myself. I love that place. I went and got Pinkberry just to cheer myself up, and nothing is working. Have you ever been so depressed that even if you watch porn, halfway through the porn, you just turn it off? You're like, this is not doing anything for me. Is this the same as a man beer gut? Yeah, I would say that. I would say it's a man beer gut. Yeah, kind of like that. Sure. Ours just has, it's like shortened fupa. I don't know what you would call a man beer gut. MBG, man beer gut. I don't know. It doesn't have the same ring as the FUPA. I don't know. I actually went to the CDC website to come up with answers to my depression, and I was like, man, is the CDC talking about this? Like, I know that I can't be the only one going through this level of depression. There are people who are like legit struggling and suffering. I know, I think there was a comedian that recently people were talking about. I think he passed away. I think he OD'd. Some people are they just can't take the depression is just a little too out of control. So I was on the CDC website, and this is what they're saying. They're saying pandemics, of course, can be very stressful. And they're saying stress during an infectious disease outbreak can sometimes cause the following, okay? Fear and worry about your own health and the health of your loved ones, your financial situation or job, or loss of support services you rely on. Those are very, very valid things. I think I'm not even so concerned about my health anymore. I'm definitely concerned about the health of my mother. Concerned about the health of my siblings for sure. Financial situation and job. Yeah, I mean, look, I had massive shows lined up this year. They're all gone. All that income is gone for now anyways. And we don't know until the pandemic, until the vaccine returns. Comedians are legit struggling. I think I read this article recently that listed artists as number one non-essential job. Number one non-essential? Are you kidding me? If being an artist was so non-essential, we would have no Netflix. We will have no Hulu. We will have nothing for entertainment. Do you know how mundane it would be? Even harder to get through the pandemic if you didn't have artists like myself, or artists and actors and actresses and comedians, and to entertain people and to tell these stories and to come and relate to you in the way that we get to relate. I mean, how? And I was reading that article. I'm like, is this article written by an Indian or a Pakistani parent? It must be, because they're the only ones. You know what was the number one essential job listed? Yeah, doctors. Yeah, that's definitely written by an Indian or a Pakistani parent, because they're the only ones who think that being an artist is non-essential and being a doctor is very essential. So it might even be my own mother, and had probably just shared it on Facebook to be like, I told you, you should have become a doctor, and now you're a comedian. Non-essential job. That's where I'm at. Okay. And I was reading these CDC things about the second thing they said was changes in sleep or eating patterns. Well, hello. We just talked about my FUPA. So yeah, the eating patterns have increased. Let's just put it that way. Changes in sleep. Listen, a lot of comedians suffer from insomnia. I suffer from insomnia. So I think I don't know if I sleep a little better thanks to weed. Go weed. Changes in sleep pattern. Yeah, I mean, I sleep, but I'm just up. Like, I go to bed late. I'm up early. For sure, changes in sleep. Difficulty sleeping or concentrating. Yes, I agree with that. Worsening of chronic health problems. Yeah, my chronic health problem would be I can't stop eating, stress eating. Worsening of mental health conditions. Yeah, definitely. I think my depression today is definitely walking me down a spiral a little bit that is definitely a little bit on the concerning side for me, because I don't think I've felt like this in a very, very long time, where I feel like I'm literally walking down a flight of stairs into a basement, and I'm having a hard time walking down the basement. Increased use of tobacco and/or alcohol and other substances. Well, I don't think. I think the only increase that has happened is maybe tequila, because I love tequila and I don't go overboard. I'm not like a functioning alcoholic or anything like that. I'm not that person. But definitely my intake of tequila has went up for sure. And they're talking about how everyone reacts differently to stressful situations. People who are at higher risk for severe illness from COVID-19. Okay, yes, of course, older people with underlying health issues. Yes, we understand that. Children and teens, people caring for family members or loved ones, frontline workers, of course, essential workers who work in the food industry, people who have existing mental health conditions, people who use substances or have a substance use disorder, people who have lost their jobs, had their work hours reduced, and had other major changes to their employment. This girl right here, people who have disabilities or developmental delay, people who are socially isolated from others. This chick right here, including people who live alone and people in rural or frontier areas. This chick right here, people in some racial and ethnic minority groups, people who do not have access to information in their primary language, people experiencing homelessness, and people who live in congregate group settings. Yeah, that shit is fucking depressing. I was asking myself, I was like, why am I so depressed today? Like, why is this bothering me so much today? And I think what happens, and I don't know if this happens for you guys, but I think when you're alone, I don't know if, James, do you live alone, or are there people who live alone? I mean, I live alone. I've lived alone for a long time now. I live with my dog, but I live alone. And I feel like my depression is a little out of control today because I was looking at the state of things. I was looking at, like, wow, we have a pandemic right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We don't know if there's going to be any vaccine coming up. We're going to probably hit a recession. So that's not that far. The recession's probably around the corner. So it's not that far. So when this recession happens, like what happens? Is the government going to come and bail out banks again and leave everyday American, everyday workers like myself, like most people? Are we just going to be left to kind of fend for ourselves? Like, what's going to happen? Comedy clubs aren't opening. Touring isn't opening up. What is happening? Like, I think there's like, my brain works in the worst case scenario. Do you guys work? Does your brain work this way? Whenever something even slightly bad happens, my brain goes in the absolute worst case situation. And then I'm like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. How do I prevent it from coming to an end? Now, everything is like a fucking 10 for me. Like, the moment something bad happens, I'm like, it's a 10. And anytime something really great happens, then I'm just like, nah, I can't be too happy. I gotta be careful with my happiness. I guess that's just the way I've grown up. But I think one of the reasons that I'm super depressed today, I think it's because I woke up and I was just having a moment of like, wow, like all these questions were circling through my head. And I was like, how am I going to find the answer to these things? I think maybe also because I'm just confession time, tad bit of a control freak. And I think for me to not have a grasp of the situation or to know what's going on or things that I can do to contribute and to help kind of shape the way I want things is really freaking bothersome. I think people like myself are like in a real state of chaos. We're just like, I can't control the situation. I can't fix stuff. My fupa's out of control. And the more I try to fix my fupa, the bigger the fupa keeps getting. I think that was the number one thing. I think the number two thing is, I think because I'm in isolation and there's not a lot of human interaction, there's no hanging out with friends, there's no like touchy-feely stuff happening with friends or anyone for that matter. I feel pretty isolated, and I feel like, all those kind of demons on those bad things that have happened in your life that you've just stashed away somewhere in the back of your subconscious are like coming, like creeping in, and they're like, don't you want to deal with me? And I'm like, no, I do not wish to deal with you, demons. Go away. I have recently been working on a new comedy special, and I sat down and I started writing traumas, all the traumas that I've experienced in my life, thus far in my life. And this is my stash of traumas, you guys. I am not even joking. This is some of them. It's not all. It's some. I'm not gonna freak you guys out by talking about all of them, because that would like literally take forever. But I think one of the things I will talk about as far as my traumas go is we'll talk about something. We'll talk about something in my. I think there's a lot of stuff coming up from my childhood. I didn't exactly have the best of childhood. My childhood is very full of trauma, and I think I've briefly talked about it before about my parents having a very tumultuous relationship. My father was very physically violent, not just towards my mother, but he was also very physically violent towards me until I was like 15. I used to get the shit kicked out of me by my dad for the longest time. And I think just kind of dealing with all that stuff, and I think all that stuff just kind of coming up where I think what it does is just like really fucks with your self-esteem. I think that's what happens. And you start questioning your own abilities of if you're good enough for things, if you're, if you're talented enough, if you're smart enough, if you're beautiful enough. Hollywood does a really good job making you feel like shit about yourself. But then your own low self-esteem, good old low self-esteem. Thanks, mom and dad. Your own demons that does come like, they want answers, and you are trying to figure your answers out, because I also have like this big challenge of like, what's going to happen? Where's the world going? And then there's all this trauma that I have been trying to deal with. Like, look, I'm very open about it. I've been in therapy for the past 13 years. It has single-handedly saved my life. I think I would have been a freaking basket case if I didn't go to therapy. I would be a really hot mess. But I think when you start going back into your past and you start writing things about your childhood traumas and your adult traumas, I think it gets really fucking depressing. So I'm trying to tackle them one thing at a time. I almost have to coddle my inner child by saying to myself, I am gonna give you ice cream or cookies, or if you just help me out with sitting down and just writing this part out of what you went through. Like just that alone just becomes like a challenge, man. It's this giant challenge of like trying to coddle your inner child to be like, I'm gonna write this really fucked up traumatic part of my life. There is this one incident that kept coming up when I grew up in Pakistan. I was born and raised in Pakistan until I was 15. And there was this one time, so the way our family dynamic went is that I have 4 older brothers, and my second and my third brother were given expired vaccination for polio, and my brothers ended up getting polio because of it in Pakistan. And of course, being Pakistan, there was no treatment for them in the 70s and 80s. So my mom would write letters to hospitals around the world telling them that I have 2 very sick kids that need treatment. And then finally, Shriners Hospital in Lexington, Kentucky, responded to my family. Hi, Tim. It's all good. And finally, Shriners Hospital in Lexington, Kentucky, responded to my mom and to our family and said that we will take care of your 2 sick children. If you bring your kids that have polio here, we will get them treated. And that's how my family started coming to the U.S. I mean, my mom left me behind when I was 6 months old. I was primarily raised by my grandmother, my aunts, and my dad because my mom wasn't around in the earlier years of my life in Pakistan. And then back in the early 90s, my mom left, came to the U.S. with 3 of my brothers and got them, she was trying to get them settled here to get education and get settled and stuff. So I lived in Pakistan for 5 years with my brother, who's 2 years older than me, and just my dad. So it was just the 3 of us for 5 years. Like I didn't see my mom and my brothers for a very long time. And those were very like crucial times of my life because I was becoming my own person. Those like early teens, and it's a very difficult time. So, in America, everybody talks about, oh, they're just teenagers, they're acting up. Like, yeah, we didn't have that luxury. We actually don't really, I've literally never seen teenagers act up in Pakistan. Just, it's not a cultural thing that's acceptable. Like, no matter what age you are expected to be, you expected to be respectful. You're expected to behave well. And if you don't, then you get an ass whooping. That's what you do. Remember they used to do that in the 50s in America? But kids just getting the shit kicked out of them by their parents? Yeah, that still goes on to this day. And that's the kind of stuff that I grew up with in Pakistan. And, getting your ass whooped all the time? Yeah. So I don't know about this teenage thing that I see a lot of teenagers here act up. And I'm like, I don't get it. I didn't grow up that way. Like, we didn't have the luxury to act out as teenagers. Like, I don't know, Tim, James, did you guys have that? Because I didn't have that. I didn't have that at all. Like, it wasn't in our home. My brothers didn't do that. I didn't do that. We were all very, like, kind of straight-laced kids, and we just did what our parents asked us to do and be very obedient. And then the moment I turned 18, I was like, I'm out, fuckers. I was like, threw deuces and I'm out. But this one incident that just keeps coming up, and I don't know why it keeps coming up. So my brother, who's 2 years older than me, his name is Junaid. Junaid was, he's 2 years older than me. So at the time, I must have been no more than 12 or 13 years old. So he was about 15 or 16. And he ended up getting chicken pox. And I was home alone with him in Pakistan. My dad is at work. There's no cell phones at the time. And my brother is running a severe fever. He is by him, it's just me and him, and I don't know what to do. I don't have any money. There's no such thing as like medical insurance. And I had just learned to ride a bicycle. My mom's cousin lived in our neighborhood, so she was the only adult I could think of. I kept calling my dad. My dad wouldn't pick up the phone at his office, so I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I jump on my bike. I ride the bicycle to my aunt's house, and I'm like, hey, listen, my brother, I think, is coming down with chicken pox. He has pock marks all over his face, and he has all these red bumps, and he's running a fever. So I have to take him to the hospital, but I don't have any money. So I was like, can you lend me some money so I can take my brother to the hospital? And she was kind enough to lend me some money. So she lends me some money. I take my brother. I shit you not. It was like a 2-seater bicycle, and I put my brother in the back, and I ride the bike to the hospital, take my brother in emergency. And they check him in, and they're like, yeah, he's coming down with chicken pox. We have to give him medication. So while I'm there, I'm asking them, I'm like, hey, can I make a phone call to my dad just to let him know where we are? So I call my dad. He finally picks up the phone. I'm like, where have you been? Brother is sick. Can you please come to this hospital? And my father finally showed up. And my father got really upset. He got really upset at the fact that I took the initiative to bring my brother to the goddamn hospital. What was I supposed to do? Let him fucking die at home? Let him simmer, suffer in fever? I'm not supposed to do that. And then if he died, I'd probably get charged with freaking murder charges. Okay? I don't want to have my brother's blood on my hands. It's ridiculous. So yeah, finally got my brother treated. They gave him medication, whatever. I'm shocked I didn't fucking get chicken pox from my brother. My immune system must be like, A-okay. I survived Pakistani chicken pox, baby. What's up? Bring it on, COVID. No, I don't want to dare COVID. Fuck you, COVID. But yeah, I think that kind of stuff that just keeps coming up about, oh wow, going through such a difficult time. I didn't go through that teenage phase. I didn't go through the phase of I remember just being a child and just being an adult one day. That's what I remember. That's how I grew up. I've been an adult for as long as I can remember. I think I've been an adult since I was 9 years old. That's how I feel. I've never had this, oh my God, I'm a little girl and I'm gonna act out. Yeah, we didn't have that luxury. It was just you're gonna get ass whooped if you don't behave like an adult at a young age. So that's what I was doing. But I think a lot of these traumas, and I don't know if that's happening for you guys, and feel free to comment and let me know, but I don't know if you guys have pain and trauma coming up during this time, and there's a lot of reflection, self-reflection going on. I think there's definitely a lot of reckoning happening, as I've done in some of my rants previously about a lot of male comedians getting exposed, a lot of people making peace, so the BLM marches, like everything. I think this is all part of the reckoning. It really is. And I think for my own kind of personal stuff and what's happening for me is all this personal stuff is coming up and really challenging me to confront these things, because I think for the longest time I've ignored them. And I'm just like, I don't know how I got through that time. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I've made it thus far. I don't know how I've done that. I think this pandemic is literally making me question my life choices. It's making me question where I am. It's making me question my existence. I'm literally having an existential crisis of why the fuck are we here? Why the fuck am I here? Like, what is this about? What is all this suffering about? Like, what does the universe want from us? And I'm legit having an existential crisis while chowing down cheese puffs and ice cream, trying to find answers. But I don't know what you guys do. Please feel free to comment. Let me know. How are you guys coping? Are you guys going through depression like I am? How are you guys coping? You know how I'm coping? These are just some of the things that I do to cope. And I don't know, maybe they'll help you if you want to do them. I take my walks with a mask on. I watch porn. Yeah, good old porn. I don't know if you guys know Pornhub is offering free premium service. Not that I tried it, but that's what Pornhub is doing. Eating, yes, big fan of eating, hence the large fupa. Taking my dog to the dog park, that's always very helpful. Watch comedy, that helps me. Watching some more porn, yeah, why the hell not? I do therapy online. I've been doing therapy. That's been helping me a great deal. Write comedy, write jokes. Even though not feeling very funny, still like just kind of write comedy to the best of my ability. Take a drive to the beach. Thank God I live in LA, so I can do that. Cook one of my favorite dishes. Not that helps my expanding my underwear, getting any tighter on me. Let me tell you something. One thing that I'm definitely going to be going shopping during this pandemic is underwear shopping. My underwears have gotten so tight that the elastic is like holding on to dear life. Okay. Organize things around the house. Yeah, I'm a bit of a neat freak. I am OCD when it comes to having organization and things being fixed. I like them a certain way. I Zoom or FaceTime family and friends. That helps me. I don't know if you guys do that. Talk to my neighbors. That helps me. Do these YouTube live streams. Yes, this is a really lifeline for me. This means so much that you guys tune in every night. That means a lot to me. I get to have this kind of virtual connection, whatever, I'll take it. Even if it's not like this physical human connection where you don't get to watch me at a comedy club or a show, but I get to have these YouTube live streams. I get to interact with you guys. I get to talk to you. You get to see me. It helps my it's a coping mechanism for me. TikTok videos. I love watching TikTok videos. I love watching, there's this black grandma and she's so good. She dances to Beyonce songs and she's so good. And I just can't stop watching her. She's amazing. I love watching these TikTok videos, watching people make an ass out of themselves, trying to dance. And a lot of the people are really good. They're really good dancers. I tried doing one and I sucked. It was really bad. I think demons of the past is a pretty big theme for me. They're just kind of coming and haunting. I listened to your comedy album. Aw, thanks, James. I hope it makes you laugh. It doesn't make you cry, I hope. I hope it makes you laugh. I think just talking about your own personal shit that I've experienced. I think so. My father died back in 2005, and that was a pretty traumatic event for me, mainly because I couldn't attend my father's funeral, and I never got a chance to make peace with my father because when he passed away, my father was very young. He was only 56 years old when he passed away, and that's very young. My father had brain hemorrhage because he had a brain aneurysm. He had stroke the year before. He survived it, and then the following year he passed away. And I think that is like one of the things that really kind of comes up for me, where I wonder, like, what would it be like if my father was alive today? Like, what would our lives be like? Would be, my father and I had a very tumultuous relationship growing up, not the best, mainly because of the reasons that I mentioned to you. My father was very verbally and emotionally and physically abusive towards me and my mom, and I think I grew up with that and just kind of fighting through those demons, just kind of getting through it. But my father, when he was 56 and had a stroke, he was dying. And the thing is that I applied for my green card when September 11th had just happened. So I don't know if you guys know, but during September 11th, there was a lot of shit that happened to Muslim people, including myself and Muslim people who came from Muslim countries. And my paperwork got stuck because of 9/11, and they weren't putting any of my paperwork through. So I literally waited 3 years, by the way, which just to get my interview date to go and interview with the immigration. 3 years of my life just waiting. It usually takes between 6 months to a year to pop max to get your date. I didn't get any of that. I was waiting for 3 years just to get my immigration date. And in the process, my father had a brain hemorrhage while he was in Pakistan. He was dying. I couldn't attend his funeral. He was dying, and I was begging immigration to let me go. And they said that if I left, I wouldn't be able to return for 10 years, which was a really crappy deal. And I kept begging them, and I kept asking them, like, is there any way that I can just go and visit? I just want to go, because I think at this point my father they had already said that my father was not going to make it because only 2% of his brain was left when they found him. And the immigration was like, no, you cannot travel. Fuck you. Stay here. And I did. And I don't think I ever made peace with that. And I think I often have like weird dreams, what that was like for my father when he died or when he was dying. And I think that's the part. I think my imagination is also pretty freaking vivid. So there's this whole story of how my uncle found my dad lying on the ground in a house in Pakistan, and there was like vomit everywhere. So I was asking myself, like, because my father couldn't be found for 3 days, so he was literally hemorrhaging. His brain was hemorrhaging for 3 days, and he was lying on the ground because none of us could find him. And I just started imagining. I was like, what was going through his brain, if anything, when he started hemorrhaging? Like, oh my God, I'm all alone. Am I gonna die? Like, how scared he was. I think all those things like just kind of go through my head, and I think my imagination gets very, very vivid about the details of what my father was going through at the time that he was dying. That if he even knew he was going to make it, did he know he was going to die? Like, did he see signs? Like, I don't know. I think my brain goes in those crazy details. And that's what happens to my brain. This is what the pandemic is doing to me. It's sending me off in these crazy, vivid dreams of my father dying and what that was like for him, which isn't fun. It sucks. So I hope I haven't been a Debbie Downer. I hope, James, you go back and listen to my comedy album. So my Debbie Downer stream today isn't too painful to watch. But I know a lot of people are like, keep your head up. Gotta keep our head up. And you know what? As cheesy as it is, it's true. We do have to keep our head up. We have to keep freaking fighting. We have to keep going. I think the one thing that I keep reminding myself is that this is temporary. Everything in life is temporary, right? What's that saying? It's like the one thing that we can all be sure of is change. Change is happening at all times. So this is part of the change. This is part of the reckoning. This is part of the, transition, the kind of transformation that all humans must go through across the planet. when it comes to this pandemic and how it's altered our lives. It's make us question and look deep inside of ourselves about our own prejudices, our own biases, our own importance of what's important in life and what's not. Definitely the reality shows are definitely not a priority. So, fuck the Kardashians and the Jenners or whatever the fuck those goddamn shows are. But I was asking myself, like, it's like I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job. Like, just kind of keep pushing myself and keep going forward and just doing the best I can. But what else can we do? Can't just lay down and just like sleep forever or just like die or kill ourselves. That's not a solution. I don't think that's a solution. I think all we can do is just realize the fact that we're all going through this together. And I know it's cheesy and everybody's saying that. It's so cliche. Oh, we're all in this together. Yes, I fucking know we're all in this together. But I think when you live by yourself, when you are, I was talking to my friend, a buddy of mine, and he's like, look, I'm married and I have a kid and I wanna fucking get away from it all. Like, I don't want to deal with this shit. And I get it. I think I'm alone and I live with my dog and I'm like, fuck. So I don't think there is any ideal situation per se in this time. There is none. I think all we can do is just make the best of it. Like, if you have family members that you get along with, that love you, have a spouse that loves you, God bless. You are way ahead of the curve. I don't have that. I think that's one of the things that keeps coming up for me is like things that I don't have. Like, I want a great relationship, but I don't have one. I would love to have a family, but I don't have one. I would love to, continue on to do stand up and do the things that I want to do, but I can't. But I'm just trying to be more grateful, to give more gratitude, focus, love myself, love my blessings, count my blessings. And I hope that this helps you too. So this is my stream for today. I am still doing the 30-day challenge. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, 6:15 Pacific, probably with a lot less makeup. This is the depression makeup I put on. I hope I look good. I don't know if I do. But thank you very much for tuning in. I love you. See you tomorrow.